Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome. You are now live.
Thank you very much, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to the March 30th regular meeting of the governing body being conducted virtually. It's now 5:02, and I am going to call the meeting to order and ask Councilor Chavez to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Councilwoman Villarreal to lead us in the salute to the New Mexico flag, an invocation led by Councilor Michael Garcia, followed by remembrances and thoughts. So if we'd all rise as we may and participate.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico and this CS symbol of perfect friendship amongst united cultures.
In honor of Women's History Month, we're still in March and we still got another day or two of celebrating women across the world. I'd like to recite a prayer for women's history written by sojourners. So let us pray. We remember that March is Women's History Month. Thank you for all the cherished women in our lives and in our histories. Mothers, sisters, friends, and neighbors. God, may women across the globe continue to be empowered, knowing the love you offer. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'll hand it off for remembrances.
Thank you, Councilor. I know there's a lot of people we want to remember, and Councilwoman Villarreal, do you want to kick us off? I know you are particularly right now in this very moment handling a loss. So why don't you start the remembrances?
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh.
Thank you. I'm hoping you can hear me because the Wi-Fi is very slow. But I just wanted to start off remembering the life of Noemi Villarreal, who is my tia Mimi, who passed away last week. She was a very generous woman. She was a curandera. She healed people. She healed other people. Unfortunately, she couldn't heal herself. But I just want to remember her for all the guidance and wisdom that she provided for those in the family and also in the community that were struggling. And she was a beacon of hope for many people. So just want to honor her life. I also want to honor the life of Taz Morris. Taz was always such a positive light in our community, so full of energy, a lover of life. She gave the best hugs that made you feel extra special, and her light will not be dimmed. I feel like she will continue to have us remember what's important in life. And last, I would want to recognize Tomas Romero, who was a lover of New Mexico history and culture. And I will miss those days, the times that we've talked about our love for New Mexico history and just hearing his perspectives. I'll really miss that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Rivera.
Thank you, Mayor. First, my condolences to Councilwoman Villarreal and her family. And then I wanted to recognize my mother-in-law, Mary Jane Rivera, who passed away on Friday from a brief illness. She was the matriarch of my wife's family, which is very large, and she's going to be very much missed. I wanted to thank Christa St. Vincent Hospital for the great care that they provided her, and then to Amber Care, who did such a great job in getting her home and on hospice care, and a lot more people. But lastly, to our Santa Fe Fire Department, who took her home with such respect and care, and making everybody, including my mother-in-law, feel good about what was going on and making it as easy as possible. So if you can just keep her in your prayers, that would be great, and my wife's family. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Counselor. Counselor Lindell.
Thank you, Mayor. Condolences to Councilor Villarreal and her family, and condolences to the Rivera family. Those are very, very hard losses. And I wish you to have the time to grieve in whatever way you need to. I also want to remember Shantez Morris, Taz. I think that anybody that ever went to an event in this town, whether you knew Taz or you think you didn't know Taz, you did know Taz. At her memorial yesterday, a section of the memorial, a part of the memorial was giving each other a Taz hug. And you nailed it, Councilor Villarreal. Those were hugs you never forgot. And they were ample and always available. So I'll sign off on that by saying something that she always said, which always tickled me, which was, be amazing. This town's going to miss her. And she went on to her greater rewards, much, much, much too young, in her early 40s. But she gave all of us a lot of good memories and a lot of love. I know we've got a couple of other people to be remembered, but I'm going to leave that to the mayor. And thank you, Mayor, for giving me this time.
Thanks, Counselor. Counselor Chavez.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to give my love and thoughts to Councilwoman Villarreal and Councilor Rivera and to your families. Please feel free to reach out if you need anything. I have an uncle that I've lost recently, yesterday. In fact, he passed away after a long some health challenges that he was facing and suffering from. His name was Damian Martinez. He was a Navy veteran and was very, very, very proud to have served. So up to the last conversation my mom had with him, he was talking about the pride that he had in serving his country in the Navy. So I am glad he is free of suffering. I am glad that he is finally getting an opportunity to rest in peace, because it has been a challenging few years for him. I want to send love out to my family as they mourn his loss. And I also just want to send, as always, my love and positivity to everyone who is experiencing loss through social media, through just having conversations. I feel like there is so much loss all around us. So again, my heart is there. I'm always here to reach out to you. It's the time that we lean on each other, and so always feel free to lean on me. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Counselor. Any other hands? I think we all join together recognizing the losses of Councilwoman Villarreal and Councilor Rivera and now Councilor Chavez and her family. There is a lot of loss. There is a lot of grieving, and we should all take the time to do it and to give our love to those who are dealing with their losses. I want to remember Glenn Freitas. Many of you spent good times with Mary Freitas in my office as she sat outside my door for 4 years, taking care of the city and the needs of council members, myself, anyone who came in who needed some help and support. Mary lost her husband, Glenn, over the weekend after a gradual decline, spending time with him as she needed to and with her family, knowing what was coming, getting in the best of times that were possible. Glenn was a great guy, a scholar, a Johnny, a tutor, a man of the world, a man of great humor and great wisdom. And we think of Mary and her family with love and with great great sense of being with them, with her family in this time of loss. It's hard to lose your mate of so many years and to say goodbye, but they did it as usual with great grace, great style and understanding and a sense of family love, which we send ours to them. So I agree with Councillor Chavez. There's grieving going on all across our community, all over the world. Let's take a minute and bow our heads and think about those who are suffering from war, suffering from disease, suffering from loss. And take a minute to think our best thoughts and send our prayers to all of those in our community and outside our community who could use our love and our condolences. So let's take a minute to think about that. Thanks, everybody.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
sorry, before we get onto the roll call, I'm hearing from a couple constituents that they're having difficulty getting in through the public link for the meeting. So I
Okay.
don't know if someone can check that.
Absolutely. Let's see if we can check the public link and make sure everything is up and running and operating. Or if there is a glitch, offer people an alternative route to get into the meeting. I also want to note that Councilwoman Viral has let us know ahead of time that because of her family situation, she will not be with us the whole night, and that's completely appropriate. In fact, it's very generous of her to be with us for the part of the meeting where she is able to join us. So when you sign off, Councilwoman, thank you for being here, and good wishes and Godspeed to everybody who was. With that, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Yes, Mayor. I also do just want to note before I take roll call that we were hearing similar concerns, Councilor Rivera. So occasionally what we've done is reloaded the link and passcode and recompiled and republished. So we have done that, and I think it seems to have worked. If anyone has any issues, they can still email me directly, and that is kmmihelcic@santafenm.gov to hop in, and we are live on YouTube. So if anybody just wants to watch the meeting as well, they can do that on YouTube. So thank you for bringing that up. As far as roll call goes, give me 1 second and then we'll call roll. Mayor Weber.
Present.
Councillor Cassett.
Here.
Councillor Chavez.
Here.
Councillor Lee Garcia.
Here.
Councillor Michael Garcia.
Present.
Councillor Lindell.
Here.
Councillor Rivera.
Here.
Councillor Merworth.
Here.
Councilwoman Villarreal.
Present.
You have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, I just noticed that we have a regular audit update as a matter of council business. It's not on the agenda. Was that accidentally omitted, or what do we make of that?
Yes, Mayor, it was. And so I believe our city manager will be providing a brief update at matters from the city manager. Is that correct, John?
Mr. Mayor, councilors, city clerk, Mihelcic, yeah, I believe that I'm going to ask Director McCoy to give her a few minutes of my time to make that presentation then.
Okay, so we'll slip it in during that slot rather than having it as a regular presentation this time. Sorry
Yes,
if anybody, if it
I
was
apologize.
confusing to anybody. We'll make sure that the audit update is done. It'll simply be handled as an item from the city manager. There's also one other thing on the agenda I want to note, which is that the original agenda included an executive session, and I spoke with Director Brown, and that is not going to happen tonight. They need more time to prepare that presentation. So the agenda needs to note that the executive session is not going to take place. It will be taken off the agenda. So with that, if I could get a motion to approve the agenda as amended, we can move forward.
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
And a second from Counselor Garcia, Michael Garcia. Thank you, Counselor. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll on the motion?
Yes, Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Marworth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes,
Motion has been approved.
thank you. And Madam Clerk, did council members advise you of items to be taken off the consent agenda?
Mayor Weber, I was not notified of any items to be removed from the consent agenda today.
Okay. Can we get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to
Motion to
approve.
approve.
I heard Counselor Chavez. Is there a second?
Second.
Counselor Lindell seconded it. A lot of voices all at the same time.
I didn't want it to get passed and have somebody pull something.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda from Counselor Chavez and a second from Counselor Lindell. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Counselor Chavez,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Marworth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes.
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes,
Motion has been approved.
thank you. Madam Clerk, that takes us to 8A in our agenda. It's a presentation. Can you introduce it to us, please?
Yes, of course. Item 8A is the Santa Fe Water Resources Indicator. It's a tool to guide seasonal conservation policy for city and county water utility customers. And our director, Jesse Roach, will be giving that presentation.
Mr. Roach, welcome. You have the floor, sir.
Mr. Mayor, members of the governing body, thank you for your time. I will share my screen and jump in. Okay. Can you see a screen that says Santa Fe Water Resources Indicator?
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay. So this is a sort of data-driven tool that we are developing that summarizes water availability to the city and county system to inform seasonal conservation policy. And really the question that we're trying to answer with this tool is, when do we ask for or even require more conservation from Santa Fe water utility customers? And there's a little bit of a difference of viewpoints. From a utilities perspective, we see things in terms of how much water is in our reservoirs and how well rested our well fields are. And in the last 25 years, we have decreased our total demand by a third, even while population increased by a quarter. Groundwater levels are rising. And we estimate that we're only using about 3/4 of our estimated renewable supply on a year-to-year basis. However, there's a potentially different perspective from the community that we're in a mega drought and customers are aware of this and growth is evident. And so what we want to do is put those two things together in a transparent and predictable way to guide seasonal conservation policy. So the piece that I'm introducing here tonight is really the technical tool to define different levels of supply. And the actual policy response to this indicator is going to be developed by engagement with the city's Water Conservation Committee and the county's Water Policy Advisory Committee and direct public outreach. And that's being led by our conservation office. This indicator, one of the things to say is what it's not for. It's not for short-term infrastructure related disruption planning or long-term water resources planning. So we do all sorts of different sorts of planning in the water division. And the time scale that I'm really talking about here is, what are we going to do this year? What sort of conservation policy are we going to ask for this year? There are also, we do planning out for decades, and even all the way to 2100, and we have a different tool that we're developing for that. So the way this tool that we're proposing works is essentially it's weighted. 40% of the weight of the indicator goes to how much we have pumped our wells. Our wells we think of as our sort of drought-proof savings account. And 30% of the weight we give to surface water, and that's what we think of as our checkings account. We can see what's there, it's renewable, and we know exactly how much we have. And then another 30% of the weight is being given to what are the regional drought conditions as summarized by the US Drought Monitor. This is something that the public is more aware of than perhaps what our groundwater pumping history has been or how much water is in our reservoirs. And so for the sake of time, I'm not really going to dive too far into the nuts and bolts, but the groundwater sub-indicator essentially, for any amount of pumping that we've done over the past 10 years from our well fields, we can come up with a number from 0 to 10, where 0 means we're in great, we're in really bad shape, and 10 means that we're in really good shape. When we do that from the beginning of this century forward through the beginning of this year, we see a really interesting picture emerge. And that suggests that for the first 6 years of the century, we were in really bad shape from a groundwater perspective. We had hammered the wells, and they were beyond sort of they weren't in a place where they were sitting there ready for us to lean on. They had been overused. But as our conservation efforts kicked in and our overall demand started to decrease, we started to see some increase in the sort of the health, shall we say, of the groundwater resource. And then the Buckman direct diversion came online in 2011. And we really saw what we're going to call sort of from 0 to 10, dry to wet conditions. From a groundwater resource perspective, it has climbed up all the way to the point where at the beginning of this year, we're basically, according to this indicator, we have fully rested our well fields. They're ready for us to use. Similarly, we have come up with some metrics. And again, I won't dive too much into how we did this, but myself or my team are available if people want to really dive into the weeds of how are we deciding what is a 0 from a surface water perspective or a groundwater perspective, and what is a 10 from a surface water perspective or a groundwater perspective. But if we look at this surface water sub-indicator for the last 22 years, we see sort of a similar thing. There's a little more noise because this is related to how much water we have in storage in the reservoirs, and so it kind of cycles up and down. But we see that we were sort of not in great shape until 2011 when the Buckman direct diversion came online, and suddenly we had access to this much larger resource directly from the rivers. And so we bounced from around 2 all the way up to the 6 or 7 range that we've sort of been in since BDD came online. And then, so there's 3 pieces. There's groundwater sort of health, there's surface water health, and then there's sort of what's the regional drought conditions. And that's a 30% weight. And we're entirely basing that on something called the US Drought Monitor, which I think every week comes out with a scale of intensity of drought from no drought all the way up to exceptional drought, and we can get that data for the county as a whole. And if there's no drought, we put our indicator for that, the drought sub indicator, I'm calling it, to 10. When we're in exceptional drought, it would be at 0. If we look at what that one has looked like for the past 22 years, we see that it's interestingly, actually, it's kind of cycled up and down on maybe a 3 or 4 year cycle. And recently we've been in extreme drought. And so from that perspective, we're very dry. So when we put all three of these things together, this is really an interesting and exciting result for us, is that you start to see that the overall water resources indicator for Santa Fe would suggest that we were in trouble early in the century, and things really got bad in 2002. And anyone who was around knows what happened at that time. That's when we were losing parks. That's when there was a lot of contention around water use. But the combination of conservation and the Buckman direct diversion coming online in 2011, those two things have allowed us to bring our overall sort of water resources indicator up, and up. And we've been, for the past 10 years, we've been in the 6 to 9 sort of cycling range in this indicator. As I mentioned before, the policy responses to this number are something we're still working out. And this is not we haven't figured this out yet, and this will be up to the Water Conservation Office and public input to weigh in on. But we're sort of thinking that there might be 5 different zones. And so I've color coded those. And you might imagine, and again, this is just for ideas. I don't know where the policy response will end up, but you could imagine it might be reasonable that when we're in this red zone, there would be extreme mandatory conservation required. When we're in maybe this light red or this orange zone, there would be mandated conservation requirements, but they wouldn't be as extreme. You could imagine in this middle yellow zone, possibly asking people to voluntarily, a lot of messaging and asking people for voluntary conservation. And then up in these other zones, things are pretty good. We do want to message. We want to tell people we're thinking about this stuff, we're working on it, but we're in a good shape for all these reasons, and therefore we're not going to ask you to do more. And I guess one other piece to this that is really interesting and makes me really proud of what everyone before me has done here at the city and City of Santa Fe Water, is that it turns out that this 21-year period from the beginning of 2000 through the end of 21, now according to tree ring data, looks like it may have been the driest 22-year period ever, well, since at least 800 AD. So this is incredible that during this drier, historically dry period of time, the city of Santa Fe and City of Santa Fe Water has been able to build our resiliency to the point that we can show people why it is that we're doing okay despite this incredible mega drought that we're in. And thank you to Councilor Romero Worth for sort of bringing that to folks' attention with an op-ed that she did. So with that, I will stop my share and stand for any questions, and thank you for your time and interest.
Thank you, Jesse. I have one quick question, then I'll turn it over to folks whose hands are up. This is a very useful tool. Where will it reside and who will have access to it?
Mr. Mayor, that's a great question. And maybe we don't perhaps know exactly the answer to that yet, but my vision would be that it would be available on our website, and anybody who wanted to look at it could look at it. We already have documentation to this point of the tool as it stands now, and that is certainly something that we will make available as we begin to bring this out to the public. It is something that potentially could change, but we will, of course, always make those changes transparent. It's something we're starting with. We're really happy with where it landed, but they could be tweaked to make it better if needed down the road.
Great, thank you. Councilor Romero Worth.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Jesse, for this presentation. I think this work is just so important in helping us with the community and with our response to the drought conditions that we find ourselves in year to year. I want to make a couple of points. One, this is at this moment a pilot. This is a collaboration between the Water Conservation Committee of the city and the Water Policy Advisory Board of the county. Jesse's technical work is going to help, give us the framework, and then these the work of subcommittees of both the Water Conservation Committee and the Water Policy Advisory Board will be working to develop the policy responses for each of those drought levels. And I think what is very exciting about this pilot is that for the first time, we, the city and the county, will be aligning our drought responses so that it doesn't matter where you live, because we all are in the same basin, we share the same water, we will be asking the same, whether you're a city utility customer or a county utility customer. And I think that's really important. And then, after we've tried this out a little bit and we're confident in the tool and the policy responses are the right responses for any particular level of drought, there will probably be legislation that will come from this to change our ordinances, which already dictate a policy response to various levels of drought, but they are out of date and don't really help us. And so that's part of where this work has come in. And so I just really thankful to Jesse for his technical expertise and the thinking that he's done around this, because I do think, as he described at the beginning of the presentation, there has been concern in the community that, we feel the drought, it hasn't rained, and it doesn't feel like our policymakers, our leaders are being responsive. And I think this tool and this work will help demonstrate that we are well aware of our drought levels, and we are asking the appropriate response from the community. And that community will be not just the city, but the county as well. So really excited about this work, and just want to thank Jesse and everybody who's working on this to develop it out. I think it's going to serve us well. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor. Other comments or questions from members of this governing body? Jesse, I think Counselor Maraworth said it really well. I noticed the comment from a constituent, Tina, little bit worried. Tina a bit worried that there is this sort of ambient concern that this is we're in uncharted territory around in some areas for water availability. Having a tool like this is and the ability to update it over time and improve it is exactly what Tina needs to feel a little more assured that your team and our team are on it. So thanks for sharing that and for developing it. Okay, thank you, everybody. Madam Clerk, 8B, please.
Yes, 8B is our quarterly update from the Community Health and Safety Task Force. This is presented by Councilwoman Villarreal and Councilor Rivera. And I also just want to note, Councilwoman Villarreal, if there's anyone else that needs to be promoted in, please let me know. I sent a request to Emily. And if you would like me to send one to anyone else, let me know.
Thank you. Annie Rasquin, Marcela Diaz, and I think that's all I see that could attend tonight. Is that it, Chris?
Yeah, it looks like those two.
Okay, perfect. All right, they were both sent requests to rejoin. There you go.
I think they were in the attendee room, so it should be good to go. So, Councilman Villarreal, you want to take the lead on this?
I'll do it, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Rivera, you have the floor.
Thank you. So as you know, the task force has been meeting for some time now, and the last time we met, we agreed to quarterly updates, and this is the first quarterly update. Valeria, who's our really anchor in this, will be doing the presentation. And then myself, Councilwoman Villarreal, and other committee members are here to answer questions if there are any. There's various expertise throughout the community. You all know many of the members that are on the task force, and some of them may be more adept to answering questions than maybe myself or Councilwoman Villarreal. So we'll rely on them as we go through and listen to any questions that may come up. So with that, if it's okay with you, Mayor, I'll turn it over to Valeria.
Thank you.
And before we go with Valeria, Christine, I want to make sure that Marcela Diaz also got promoted.
Yes, Councilwoman Villarreal, I think she just accepted it actually. So yes,
Thank
there
you.
she is.
Thank you.
Yes.
And one more that just showed up is Gino Zamora.
You got it, Counselor. I just sent him a request, so he should be promoting into the panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yes.
all. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and governing body, and good evening to Santa Fe as well. My name is Valeria, and I am going to be presenting the first quarterly report. Let me do a screen share. Can everyone see my screen? Great.
Yes.
I'm going to take myself off of video because internet can be a little spotty if I stay on. Let me present now. Present. Great. All righty. So just excuse the delay here. Oh dear. Okay, great. Thank you for your patience, everybody. And welcome to our presentation. This is our agenda for this evening. Acknowledgements, welcoming our new member too, and providing an overview of our first quarter report across the board with the task force and the working groups of policies and practices, as well as our alternative approaches and community engagement. And then we'll share with you our next steps, what we're looking towards for the second quarter as key priority areas, and next steps with support for the task force. Want to acknowledge the membership of the task force for their continued commitment to this critical work, and welcome our new member, Gino Zamora, who actually has previously served as a city attorney for 2 years under, I believe, Mayor Cass. Welcome, Gino, once again.
Thank you. Glad to be part.
Thank you. Glad to have you here too. A quick overview of what we're about to dive into. And across the task force, these were 4 key accomplishments for the first quarter. Of course, you have an actual detailed report that you can reference to if you haven't done so already at a later time. An information and learning session, which is going to be continuous throughout the year. We had presentations on MIJO, Thrive, ARU, by the Santa Fe Fire Department, the Santa Fe Police Department, and of course our Community Health and Safety Department director, really identifying the strengths of each of these areas of services and divisions, as well as opportunities that are available for improvement and recommendations that the task force can make from key learning indicators. The second area has been teach-in sessions, update on legislation related to public safety that would be considered in the 2022 New Mexico State Legislative Session by 2 of our task members, Monica and Emily, and learned about potential state legislation that would have direct and or indirect implications on local jurisdiction or procedures. So a lot of information there for informing recommendations as well. Third, community engagement, as you all know, really prioritizing this component as is very critical to this work, engaging with UNM Center for Social Policy. We have a scope of work which has been submitted to the city, to the procurement office for a PSA to be completed. Last but not least, and this is another continuing effort, learning and networking, the task force membership participated at the National City, let me move this, Cities and Counties for Fine and Fees Justice Bootcamp hosted by Policy Link, Fines and Fees Justice Center, and the Financial Justice Project. And essentially the task members learned about practical fine and fee reform policy concepts, and potential policy recommendations have been identified. And that conversation continues. For the working groups, also hosted the gender imbalance study that was conducted by the Santa Fe Fire Department on February 22nd. A lot of key learnings emerged from that presentation, and that was led by Policies and Practices Working Group. And on the gender imbalance presentation identified, as you can see, some of the key findings there on the left side, as well as identifying opportunities for improvement and recommendations for policy changes, such as, for example, formalizing lactation policy, amongst many other opportunities for the fire department in actualizing gender equity. The Santa Fe Fire Department, the Santa Fe Police Department have also been engaged by this working group on gathering information and data in these particular areas: internal affairs policies, complaint processes, homeland security grants and equipment, the Citizens Police Incident Review Board, and hiring and promotion policies, so that this working group can assess, analyze, and such findings can inform recommendations that the task force will make ultimately. And now we have the reports from the Alternative Approaches and Community Engagement, the teaching sessions that we've had continuum throughout the year moving forward as well. A presentation, a very thorough, inspiring, and informative presentation on the introduction of restorative justice principles and practices, led and facilitated by Mary Louise Romero and Marcela Diaz, our task force members. And through this learning experience, the task force is identifying potential recommendations regarding restorative justice practices that the city can implement on the short and long term, of course. Not to be redundant here, but this team also helped coordinate these presentations that we just mentioned with Mijo Thrive, the ARU, by the Santa Fe Fire Department, Santa Fe Police Department, and our Community Health and Safety Director. And Councilor Rivera, Chris Rivera, joined a ride along with the ARU assigned with a police officer. So from that lived experience, there's a lot of information, awareness that has been shared that also will be taken into consideration for recommendations that the task force can make. What are we looking forward into this upcoming quarter, the second quarter? What's next? Continuing with information and learning sessions. We have two, lined up. Ithaca, which will focus on reimagining. They will be sharing their initiative and commitment around reimagining public safety at the municipal level, and we'll be hosting a restorative justice expert panel. Of course, as you've heard before, community engagement is essential and critical to this work. So working with the UNM Center for Social Policy will be a body of work the task force will commence in the second quarter. And the continuing effort and commitment around data collection and research, again, from the Santa Fe with the Santa Fe Fire Department, Santa Fe Police Department, and in relation to fines and fees. Also, as you know, the support that this task force needs to actualize its work on a continuing basis speaks to the need for staff support, and also an update or completion of that procurement process for the community engagement plan and budget. And so we can open now to questions and also lean into our co-chairs, Councilor Woman Villarreal and Councilor Rivera, to chime in if I missed anything and help answer questions. And once again, thank you to Mayor Weber and this governing body, city councilors, for your continued commitment on this critical work, as well as the task force and their devotion and commitment for this very, very pressing work at hand. So thank you all. I will stop the screen share at this time and open the floor for any questions. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for that great presentation. Either Councilor Rivera, Councilwoman Villarreal, do you want to add a few comments at this time?
So I'll start out by saying we had hoped that the community engagement piece would be further along than it is right now. However, I think we're all familiar with what's been going on with the police department, having to hire a new police chief and the detailed work that went into that. And Director Ochoa was the one directly helping us through this process. We still don't have a staff person, so she's been taking the lead. So for her to have to deal with everything else on top of trying to get the community engagement PSA going through the process a little quicker, we were a little patient, overly patient, I think, with her on that, realizing the other things that were going on. And then again, the staff person, she's still short-staffed, so we're still waiting for a staff person to be able to help the task force out. We shouldn't have to rely on the director to have to get us through PSAs or any other work that we need. So those are some of the challenges that we have currently. So just want to let you all know about that as well.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank our members because we have such great expertise on the task force and it's not just a lived experience. It's, the kind of work they do on a regular basis. It really folds in nicely. And so when we do those teach-in sessions, we call them teach-in sessions, I think it's important to learn from our colleagues. And so that's been beneficial. And in general, the learning sessions that are obviously accessible to the public is really important too, to just hear what's going on, the existing conditions, what's working, what's not. And I did want to add that there's a piece that will be connected to the community engagement. What we're learning in our teach-in sessions and those info sessions, and also in the data information requests that we've had, will fold into the kind of questions and things, activities, and the dialogues that we're going to have with the community engagement. And so that we're excited to be able to get to that point. But we're still waiting. Luckily, the PSA is actually at UNM currently. So that's a positive note that it's actually at that point so that we can start moving forward. So we're excited to be able to work with UNM and to be able to start going into that phase that we've been waiting for a long time. And then the other thing I wanted to add is for our policies and practices working group, in January, we did submit a full list of questions and data and requests for staff to be able to answer. And we still haven't received that yet, but obviously we've had, there's a lot going on in the community health and safety department. So we realize that the delay is for various reasons, but there is, requests that we need in order to do our work. So we're still patiently waiting, but we hope that our colleagues will attend some of our meetings, because some of those sessions have been extremely informative and helpful to kind of just zeroing in on some of the things that we really want to tackle, and actually kind of narrowing it, because there's so many things that we could actually focus on. But I think the piece here is just like those learnings from each other and from the community is so important. So I'll stop there. And I don't know if any of our other task force members wanted to share any other thoughts that we missed before we go into questions.
We have a hand up from Councilor Cassett. So while task force members are thinking about it, let's let Councillor Cassett have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I just have one quick question. And are your meetings recorded and YouTubed?
They're recorded, and I don't know who uploads them because we don't have a staff person, but they are saved. So if there's a request to see specific meetings, we should probably have them in a place where people could refer back to them. But again, we don't have anyone that's kind of directing that. So I think Jeff Norris he holds those recordings of the meetings. And right now it seems like it's by request. I don't think they're all uploaded to YouTube at this point.
Okay. And then are they uploaded to Prime Gov perchance? I know that's one of those technical staff questions. I'm not sure if there's somebody on. I can email Jeff, but I do appreciate it because the meetings are not at times that I'm typically available, but I would really love to be able to see especially some of these teach-in sessions. So thank you for bringing them to our attention, and I will work on finding those recordings, and we should be putting them somewhere that they are publicly accessible as well. So I'll circle back with Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Other questions from members of the governing body? Any additional thoughts from the task force members? Thank you for being with us tonight. It's great to see you. And I know the work you do is phenomenal. So we're very grateful for all of that effort you're making and on an issue that is of national importance and local importance every single day. Anybody want to raise a hand? I'm happy to call on.
Marcela, I'm not putting you on the spot, but I did see your hand earlier, and I didn't know if you're good.
I was just going to say, please check out the recordings of our teach-ins. But you beat me to it, Councillor Cassett. I thought they were available on YouTube, but somewhere they're available. And part of really wanting to open this up to the public was to take our whole community on a journey, and staff and counselors. The journey that we're on together is a journey of great learning. I've learned a lot from a lot of the other teach-ins. And so, yeah, we're really excited for all of you to participate in one way or the other.
Thank you. And like the comment about the water conservation tool, making sure people know where to find it and how to access it and when it will be updated, and making sure that the work is available is really critical so that it gets viewed and talked about in the community at large. So thank you, everybody, for your tremendous effort. And I'm glad to hear the contract is down at UNM. That's the next step. And when it gets back, we'll get it going.
Mayor, I just want to make sure that everyone realizes who is a part of our team. And the first one is Annie Raskin, who used to be a paramedic firefighter here with the city, and she joined our team and has been great. Emily Kaltenbach, who I'm sure you all know, a wealth of knowledge and is just, fantastic to work with. You just heard from Marcela Diaz, also so many great things to say about all of them. I feel impressed every day that I get to work with these people. They're so awesome. Gino Zamora, who was just on, I don't see him on anymore, but he's the latest edition. And then we have Bruce Finger. Help me, Renee, I'm forgetting some of the other ones. Mary Louise Benacourt, who works with the schools and just has so much knowledge from a youth perspective that is able to give us different viewpoints on many different things. Did I leave anybody else?
Monica Alt.
Monica Alt, yeah. She's great as well. She invited us to the fines and fees boot camp that we went to, and so much information there that we hope that this committee can delve into and hopefully make some positive change.
Thank you. Terrific. Yeah, and I'm so glad you all are doing this. This is an evolving national discussion. We should be part of it. You are the lead on it, and I'm glad you all are moving forward with the great group you've gotten, asking these questions. Asking the right questions will make sure we get good answers. So thank you for doing that. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for that great report.
Thank you, Valeria, for leading our
Thank
team.
you,
as well.
Valeria.
Yeah. Madam Clerk, can you take us to the next item, please?
Yes, Mayor. The next item on the agenda is matters from the city manager.
Mr. Blair, you're going to share your time with Mary McCoy and her team to talk about the audit, but you may have some other things you want to bring forward first. And I apologize that we didn't get this noticed on the agenda properly. Because it's a matter from the city manager, we really can't involve Q&A, but if you want to follow it up with Q&A later, please feel free to do it offline after the meeting. We have to sort of abide by our policies and practices for city council meetings, which say that city manager reports are not items of discussion, but Mary and her team will present the audit, and then anybody who wants to follow up offline or tomorrow should certainly absolutely do that. Mr. Blair, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to say most of what I have to say for after Director McCoy has spoken. I just want to say at the onset of this, how proud I am of Director McCoy, our CAO, Ricky Bejarano, the team that has worked really both efficiently, smartly, and effectively to get this audit done in a manner that is much faster than it was last year, and in a manner that is going to guarantee that we are on time this year. And that's a big deal. They were able to walk and chew gum at the same time. They built the plane while they flew it, and we're landing it in an appropriate way. And so I'm just grateful to their team for getting it done. And with that, Director McCoy, I'll let you go ahead and make the presentation that you were going to make.
Thank you, City Manager Blair. I'm going to be brief in our presentation this evening. We have great news to share with our team tonight. As we've mentioned at the previous meeting, on March 16th, the city did produce this CFA, which is the Schedule of Expenditures of Federal Awards, and it was submitted to our external auditor, Clifton Larson Allen, and they have begun the audit over the federal awards. We are also happy to share with you this evening that the city will be producing the trial balance and submitting it to CLA tomorrow, March 31st. The items that are complete at 100% are fund balance and net position, interfunds, our capital assets, deferred inflows and outflows, liabilities, and assets. This is a significant accomplishment for the team. I'd like to recognize Ricky Bejarano, our Chief Accounting Officer that joins us this evening, as well as Stephanie Woodruff. I believe she's in the waiting room now. This was definitely a team effort. Everyone who works for Ricky as well in the accounting division and for all of the different divisions of the finance department, the treasury division, the payroll division, our procurement division, even our budget division has pitched in to assist us in this process. So very excited to be stepping into the next step. So to give you an overview of what's ahead, as of April 1st, we have confirmed with Clifton Larson Allen that will be their start date for the audit. And we are looking at a target date of June 30th for CLA to complete their audit and to submit it to the state auditor's office. So with that, again, a big thank you to all of the staff in the finance department and the staff in all of the city departments that assisted us, and as well as our contractors. We would not be able to be here in front of you tonight sharing this good news with you that we have met our target deadline of tomorrow to submit the trial balance without the dedication from all of the department directors and their staff to meet this target deadline. So much appreciated, the level of teamwork that went into this. With that, Mr. Manager, I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Director McCoy. I appreciate that. And Mr. Mayor, Councilors, I apologize to you as well for our error in not noticing this properly on the agenda tonight. For other, it's been 3 weeks since we've seen each other in this manner, so we have had a lot of productivity the last few weeks. First of all, I want to just sort of thank to those of you who were able to join us for the funeral for Officer Duran many weeks ago. It has been a real trying time for city employees, and particularly our colleagues at the police department, and your support and your outreach directly to the family has meant a great deal. So thank you very much for that. I really do want to thank the leadership and the men and women who are our Santa Fe Fire Department, who stepped up in a big way to support the events, both in Rio Rancho for Officer Duran and the event in Las Vegas for Mr. Lovato, who also passed away. And also very much to thank all of our law enforcement partners, state police, Santa Fe County Sheriff's offices, and others who both stepped up to help make sure Santa Fe was safe and protected during a time of mourning for our Santa Fe Police Department. But also, it was just striking at the funeral for Officer Duran to see the officers who continue to stand guard of Officer Duran, frankly, from all across the state. And that really was, I think, a really wonderful honor for Officer Duran and the family. So thank you to everyone who helped out. And a final thank you as well to our colleagues from the city of Rio Rancho who didn't blink to step up and take care of planning the event and make sure that it was an appropriate and solemn tribute to Officer Duran. We are coming up on the end of the month tomorrow. And so per our new procedure that I failed to follow correctly earlier in the month, I will plan to send either Friday or first thing next week a list to all the city councilors of the contracts I've signed over the last month. That's going to be our new rotation, is do it once a month at the end of every month. So you'll have those coming your way here very soon. We're getting closer to hiring a deputy city manager, and hopefully by the time we meet in 2 weeks, we will be able to announce who that person is that we're going to bring on board. Really was very, very lucky to have some really extraordinary candidates express interest, both some existing city employees and some people who are not currently members of the City of Santa Fe team, but who I'm hopeful if they're not offered the job of deputy manager, we might convince them to take another senior leadership position here within the city to help us grow our capacity here. I'm assuming that most of you have seen, we also hired a police chief since we last met. Our new chief, Paul Joy, has really hit the ground running. I want to thank you all for participating and meeting with the finalists. We had a really robust, inclusive process to try to engage the public in this selection process and to find out what was their great concern with how the police department would be handled moving forward. And so, frankly, we're very, very proud of that process. And I'm grateful both to Director Ochoa, particularly for her extensive work on this, to our city clerk for being willing to help in every way, shape, or form. Our HR director, Bernadette Salazar, stepped up, and it was a lot of work, but I think really is a model for us going forward and how to begin engaging the community in a broader way. So we're grateful for that. We've been doing a great deal of work around prepping for you all for the budget hearings that are coming up. I believe the first hearing will be April 12th, and I do believe Director McCoy has sent calendar invites months ago and made sure that this is on your radar. So we're doing all we can to be ready to go for you all, and we'll get the materials to you as quickly as possible. Flagging again tomorrow, you should have gotten a follow-up email from me today about our mental health and wellness luncheon that we're doing tomorrow at the convention center. If you can come for 3 hours, that's great. If you can come for a half hour, that's great. But we just want to see if you are able to join us and really recognize that this is, I think, an opportunity for our team to get together after what has been a trying few weeks in light of everything else that's going on in the world right now. And we're excited to break bread together and have a number of resources and a great deal of information available for all city employees to try to ensure that they're getting any sort of mental health services that they need or that might be helpful for them in dealing with some of the most recent traumas we've had, but also with the last few years in the COVID pandemic. So we're hopeful that you all can join us for that as well. We are working as well on having a final answer for you all. I suspect we'll have that for you this week about when we will return to in-person meetings. And I'm trying to juggle a variety of needs and demands and, at the same time, trying to be cautious of what's happening in Europe and Asia right now with regard to new variants and wanting to make sure that we're making best decisions all the way around. So we'll have more information for you that very, very soon. On my list for you is that I want to make a point real quick to also thank Director McCoy's team. I failed to do this 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and I apologize. There are really some meaningful bars that the governing body passed 3 weeks ago, and it was a heck of a lot of work for Director McCoy's team, working nights and weekends to get all that information teed up and ready to go. We're grateful for what they did there with regard to the budget. we are pushing them to the limit right now, and they're really responding with some great results. So we're grateful to them. Want to brag for a little bit on behalf of our HR director, Bernadette Salazar. We had a really great rapid hire event Saturday at the GCCC. We extended 22 offers that were all accepted. And so we're going to have 22 members of the Team Santa Fe family join us. Part of what Director Salazar's team is looking at doing right now is doing possibly department specific rapid hire events to try to bring people on board. And so we're going to have more information in the future about those, but we're really pleased with the turnout. This particular rapid hire event was focused on our public works team. And so we're just really excited to see that really be effective and to work. So we're grateful about that. And then finally, I just want to say that I'm thankful to all of you who came earlier this week to our airport event that we did that really highlighted the work that is being done to make sure that these capital improvement projects are happening on time, and that we're making really efficient and good use of the dollars that both you all have graciously voted in favor of, but also that our state and federal partners are contributing to as well. And so we look forward to inviting you all back early in the next calendar year to see the final product. And we're happy to, continue to invite you out if you want to see other big trucks out in front of the airport and see what they do. But thank you very much for turning out for that event. I thought it was really great. And with that, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have tonight. But thank you all, Mr. Mayor and councilors. Appreciate your time very much.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Madam Clerk, next on the agenda, please.
Mayor, the next item is matters from the city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor, councilors. Just a few announcements. I wanted to thank everyone for using the new legislative request form and co-sponsorship form and amendment forms. If you have any suggestions about how to improve those, please let me and the legislative team know. I did want to let people know that the petition for cert at the U.S. Supreme Court regarding the Furstenberg case was denied, which is good. The city had one at the 10th Circuit, so we wanted the petition for cert to be denied. So that was denied recently. And then our other petition for cert at the U.S. Supreme Court, which is the Rio Grande Foundation case, is scheduled for review in the next couple of weeks. And then we found out right away last time after it was scheduled. So we're learning more about the process at that court. So we anticipate hearing if that cert will be granted or not very soon. I do have a candidate who has accepted their conditional offer for IPRA manager. So I hope to be announcing that person's hire very soon. And the assistant city attorney position is posted and will be closing next week and has been posted for a few weeks. And it was in the state bar bulletin last week. The policy analyst position is in HR for review of the appropriate classification levels. So thank you for those of you who gave me feedback on that position description. I was able to incorporate some great improvements to the description. And that concludes my updates. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, matters from the city clerk.
I was just going to say, next up is matters from the city clerk. Just a few updates. One is, as many of you know and received an email, from Daniel Diaz. We are doing our regular update to the CRM. We do this twice a year to add upgrades and change kind of how we define our data gathering. So that'll be live again at 5 p.m. on Friday, but just want to let everybody know about that. And next up, I know I've mentioned it several times, but I will keep on because, obviously we have 14,000 eggs going to Regal Park on April 9th. So I hope everyone joins us. We will have approximately 3,500 eggs per field with also, we will have candy and a bunch of great prizes. We have 25 golden eggs, and then we have a bunch of other just basket prizes. It's going to be really great. As I've mentioned, we are doing a Touch the Big Truck event in conjunction with the Easter egg hunt. We started that event at MRC 2 years ago, and we're bringing it back now that we're out of COVID. And so we're really excited about that. We are going to have everything from backhoes to recycling trucks there. And then just a fun also piece is that same day at Regal Park will be the Little League opening day ceremonies at 1 p.m. So it's really great. It was a very strategic move to bring our community to Regal Park and kind of have a full day of events. So we're really excited about that. And of course, if anyone wants to join us, please let me know. I will say that someone has already volunteered to be the Easter Bunny that day. So I know some of you may have wanted to do that, but that spot is filled. No, but I do hope we see everyone there. It's a really great event, and we are very excited to have it back in person this year. Along with that, we are finalizing our Santa Fe summer schedule. So I will be announcing many great events as we move forward, including movies in the park, our firefighter spray downs, and of course, opera in the park as well. We are hoping that we have enough water to also do the fishing derby this year. So lots of great things coming. And we did launch a city Instagram. So we did a soft launch. We will be promoting it throughout the coming months, but it is active. And so if you don't follow us on social media, just a friendly reminder that the city is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So we are very excited about our Instagram handle. And lastly, Erin did remind me, I also sent out a copy of the council liaison job description and would appreciate feedback for that description, as well as any questions that the council would like incorporated into that process. So that is what I have for today, Mayor Weber. And the next item on the agenda is communications from the governing body.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we'll ask everybody to step up. And I know, again, Councilwoman Villarreal, thank you for sticking with us as long as you've been able to. I'll give you the floor first in case you are in a timely way need to duck out. So Councilwoman Villarreal, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to just give a shout out to Melissa McDonald. She's so responsive in so many ways, even when she's so overwhelmed and has so many things coming at her. And I'm not just saying responsive to the counselors, but responsive to community members and constituents. So just wanted to thank her for all that she does. And also wanted to let Christine know I'm willing to hide eggs in the morning if you want me to. I don't want to be the Easter Bunny, but I'll be happy to hide eggs if you need a volunteer. So let me know. And then just wanted to send appreciation to all of you and the work that we do that gets unrecognized often, and not just the council, but also our staff. And so I just wanted to share that I have lots of gratitude, and I look forward to being able to work with you all in person soon and have our meetings in person. You know, I've been waiting for that for so long. So just looking forward to that time. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Take care of yourself and get home safely. Councillor Cassett, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to thank everybody who came out last Wednesday for the community meeting at Herb Martinez Park. Our staff, Melissa McDonald, was there. Skylar Nielsen, who is a new wonderful member of our Parks Department. I think he'd been employed for all of 24 to 48 hours and jumped right in. Danny Mackey as well from our neighborhood engagement specialist. And then of course, Councillor Chavez was there as well. And then most importantly to our constituents, we had a really wonderful turnout to hear a lot about what people would like to see within the parks. And then the Parks Department, very quickly, we had identified some areas that needed repair, and by the next day or maybe 2 days later, they had already gotten to work on that. So I really want to thank the Parks Department for being there. And then on Saturday, and I will let Councillor Chavez speak to more of the details of this as well, there will be a cleanup at Herb Martinez Park. So I hope that members of the community can come and join. Other than that, I don't think I have much. I'm really looking forward to this Touch a Truck event. My child is, I think that this might be the thing that he talks about for the next 3 years. So thank you, Christine, for giving him some more fodder for when he is trying to avoid bedtime, that he'll be able to tell me all about the truck. So I might not thank you as much then, but I know that he's really going to love it. And I think that it is just such a wonderful opportunity for us to come out and have events. I think we've all spoken so much recently about the challenges that our community is going through, and having these positive experiences and community meetings and community gatherings and opportunities to see each other is wonderful. Thank you so much to the team as well who put on the airport groundbreaking yesterday. That was really wonderful. I love seeing the tour. I don't know when the last time I've been out to the Santa Fe airport was. I haven't flown in a really long time. So it was great to be out there and see some of the changes, as well as see all of you who were there. Great to reconnect. So that's all I have this evening. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Lee Garcia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to kind of give a shout out to everyone involved with the dedication of the new art piece that's placed there at the Southside Library, and especially to the artist Hernan Gomez. The ceremony was amazing. The people that were there that put it on, the hospitality of the staff at the library, including the little reception in the evening. And so it was a really nice dedication and a beautiful piece. So if anybody has time to go out and check it out, it's wonderful. I believe also to the Arts Commission and everyone involved there. They are doing a lot of similar things out at the MRC, which is going to be a nice thing there. So again, thank you all for everything you do, and I'll go ahead and pass it on. Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Michael Garcia, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Got nothing this week. I hope everybody's doing well. My condolences to those who lost a loved one, and guess my only thing is just give somebody a hug. Somebody that that's near you that you haven't hugged recently. Just give them a hug, give them a high five, tell people you love them. That's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Counselor Chavez, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to start by thanking Councillor Cassett for putting on that community meeting at Herb Martinez. I feel like it has motivated the community to come together there and contribute to making our parks beautiful. And so it was really her meeting and putting that together that made it so that our Santa Fe Little League partners reached out to Friends of Santa Fe Parks, and Friends of Santa Fe Parks has put together a cleanup at Herb Martinez on Saturday at noon, and it's going to be beautiful on Saturday. So we're going to have wonderful weather. It's going to be sunny, no wind, possibly. And so it's going to be at noon. I also wanted to thank Christine and city staff for just jumping on that. That was a quick turnaround, and they put the messaging out and organized all of that. I wanted to echo what Councilwoman Villarreal said about Melissa McDonald. She has been so responsive. Her work ethic is just amazing, so impressive. So I just wanted to shout her out, and Jessie Benavidez in her department as well, who has been helping with all the park cleanups that we've had these past weekends. So, we see the city staff working on the weekends so hard. Their work really doesn't end. During hours, off hours, the dedication that we have from our city team is just amazing, and I'm grateful to be able to witness it. I think that is it for all of my announcements. I hope to see you at Herb Martinez if you can show up at noon on Saturday.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Lindell, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have anything specific, so I'll just one more time this evening invoke Taz and tell all of you to be amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Rivera, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Like Councilor Lee Garcia, I just wanted to thank Pauline Kamiyama and Maria Tucker and the library, Southside Library staff for putting together a great presentation of the sculpture that was placed there at the Southside Library by Mr. Hernan Gomez Chavez. It's called Un Pueblo Sin Piernas Pero Que Camina, a town or a community without without legs, but can still walk. So it's a beautiful tribute, and I think it really speaks to the people in this part of town that are many of the essential workers that carried us through COVID. So it's a great representation of them. I also wanted to thank everyone for the airport groundbreaking. It was nice to see so many people there, and a nice article in the paper about it as well. And then many of you don't see it, but I drive by it every day. I imagine Councilor Lee Garcia does as well. But ground has been broken on the teen center. They're moving dirt, so it's great to see we're moving forward on that, and nice to see us moving forward with that project. Then lastly, just wanted to thank all of you, my colleagues on the City Council, Mr. City Manager, some of the department directors, for really all your well wishes, your prayers during my family's difficult time. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to my family to know that we're all so close and so tight. So appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Mayor Worth.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have anything tonight. Thank you.
Okay. I really am so delighted that the comments that have been made tonight, it's just, there's so many good things happening in this city and so much to be grateful for. And even when we have loss, we have people who care about each other. That's the spirit of the mental health event that the city manager mentioned tomorrow. I don't think I've ever seen a time in my life when people are under so much stress and dealing with so many complex emotional issues. It's a city event, but it should be a citywide event. It should be an event that everyone recognizes is appropriate and important as we deal with the stress of COVID, the challenges of a war in Ukraine, the issues involving ordinary life. People need help. They need to understand that there is help available. So I hope everyone will be able to make the mental health gathering tomorrow, and I hope it will spread across the city so that private sector employers, large organizations will use NAMI, will use all the other mental health resources that are available to us, eliminate any stigma whatsoever from the idea that asking for help with regard to mental health is somehow a problem. It is not a problem. It is exactly what we all need to make a better city and a better world. We had a great series of recognitions about the art project at the Southside Library. I also want to recognize the work that was done for the Afghan refugee event at the Southside Library, with music, with some speeches from two individuals who have come here from Afghanistan, with families who are hosting Afghan refugees. It's so Santa Fe to take care of each other and to take care of people who come here having left their lives in another country behind, and to be the city that is a welcoming city. It was a beautiful event. And again, Friends of the Library and the library team were instrumental in making it happen. Another great community event Saturday night was the La Fonda Centennial. How many cities have hotels that are iconic community centers, the living room of Santa Fe, lasting for 100 years as not just as a business, but as a part of our lives? I got a chance to say a few words, and I said then, and I'll say it again, La Fonda is not in the hotel business. They're in the love business. They love the city, and the city loves La Fonda back. And that's how you last 100 years, by being in the love business. And then last night, our dear friends at Kiwanis had their first meeting of the Centennial Committee to launch the 100th year of Zozobra. What city in America has a celebration that goes on for 100 years and brings people together and becomes a global phenomenon. It's so heartwarming to see people volunteering and stepping up to make this city's traditions not just carry on, but grow and blossom and become more and more fulfilling. On a more sober note, the mayor's office gets questions frequently about the war in Ukraine and what we are doing to acknowledge and note it. Of course, we have fighter over there doing his best to be helpful. But as of recent days, a remarkable team of individuals have lit up City Hall with blue and yellow lights so that if you come by once it gets a little darker, you'll see the Ukrainian colors streaming down the side of City Hall. The team that did that, Sean Montoya, Jack Anderson, Mike Ortega, Johnny Archuleta, Chris Bransford, the always hardworking Sam Burnett, and coordinated by Danny Mackey, making us so proud so that Santa Fe is flying the Ukrainian colors in light on the walls of City Hall outside to say we are with them. We care deeply about these global events. We are not only aware of the significance of the fight for freedom, we are standing with them and proud of First Presbyterian Church raised $10,000 to help Ukrainian relief. We are all very, very mindful of these global events as they touch our lives here in Santa Fe. So thank you to those folks for flying those colors in light on the walls outside City Hall. That is my report. It is just a reminder of how many good things our community does, often without recognition or even asking for recognition, just because it's the right thing to do. Madam Clerk, Councilwoman Villarreal, your hand is up.
I forgot to mention, somebody had a birthday last week on Tuesday. Councilor Garcia turned 21 again, I believe. And I just wanted to wish him a happy birthday.
Nicely done. Another 21. Very good. Madam Clerk, if you could take us to the next item on the agenda, please.
Yes, Mayor, the next item is item 15, introduction of legislation. So the first item is 15A. This is an introduction of a resolution proclaiming severe or extreme drought conditions exist in the city of Santa Fe, imposing fire restrictions from April 10th, 2022 to May 11th, 2022, and restricting the sale or use of fireworks within the city of Santa Fe and prohibiting other fire hazard activities. This is sponsored by Councilor Rivera, Councilor Romero Worth. Councilor Rivera, you do have an opportunity to introduce this and speak for a few moments if you would like.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Clerk Mihalcik. Just be brief. As you know, this is a monthly thing that needs to come up based on state law. Even though we've had some moisture, we're still in severe drought conditions. And this is a especially scary time because the winds typically are so strong and pick up during these next couple months. So I think that's evident in what's happened in Colorado, and we just need to be careful. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Madam Clerk.
Yes, Mayor Weber, item 15B is consideration of a bill. This is sponsored by Mayor Weber. It's an ordinance relating to the City of Santa Fe's Office of Economic Development Plan Ordinance, SFCC 1987, Section 11-11. This is approving and adopting a local economic development project participation agreement between the City of Santa Fe and Earth Traveler Teardrop Trailers, LLC, for design, development, and construction of tenant improvements lease payments, and expansion of a manufacturing center and silicone vacuum system. It's a local economic development project. Rich Brown will be staff on this, as well as Andrea Salazar. But again, Mayor Weber, you do have an opportunity to introduce and discuss this item.
Thank you. I'll be brief. This is another project brought to us by our economic development team, continually working to diversify our local economy, recognizing in this case a remarkable, phenomenal growth project here in Santa Fe that has emerged as a tremendous success, and supporting them with this economic development participation agreement. It'll work its way through the committees and finally come back to us, but I think it is really a great recognition by our team that they're out working with local businesses to find ways to grow and add employment opportunities for our folks here in Santa Fe by using the city as a catalyst for growth and development. So this bill will make its way forward, get thoroughly discussed, and we'll learn more about it as it goes through the committee process. But just saying thank you to our team for continuing to look for ways to grow the local economy and build on local success stories. Madam Clerk.
Yes, the next item is item C. It's introduction of a bill sponsored by Mayor Weber. It's an ordinance relating to the City of Santa Fe's Office of Economic Development Plan Ordinance, SFCC 1987. This is section 11-11 as well. It's approving and adopting a local economic development project participation agreement between the City of Santa Fe and Beck and Bulow LLC for design, development, and construction of tenant improvements, lease payments, and expansion of the Corporate Research Center. It's a local economic development project. Again, staff on it will be Rich Brown and Andrea Salazar, our assistant attorney. And Mayor, you do have an opportunity to briefly introduce this as well.
Well, I will refer to my previous remarks, but substitute the words amazing food and food retailing operation. They celebrated recently their first anniversary. They have had enormous success. They found a great market for their products and their service and are growing. And we want to support that and continue to see that growth flourish, more employees, more opportunity for folks to work in this industry. I think they're on to something as a business that is very timely. I think they have expansion ideas that are really fit Santa Fe perfectly, and we want to do what we can do to continue to be a good partner. So this falls very much into the same category as what I said earlier. It is timely, and it is really promising for our community. So that completes that introduction.
Yes, Mayor Weber, the next item on the agenda would be petitions from the floor.
We're a little early.
We are a little early, so I don't know if we want to jump to appointments.
Yeah, I think if we hold off till 7, anyone who was counting on us doing the petitions at 7 will agree that we've done our very, very best to be respectful of their time. Usually we're late. This time we're early. We'll go to some other matters and then come back 7-ish as we move through the other items, if that's acceptable to everybody.
Yes, Mayor, we just would need a motion
We
to.
do need a motion to change the order. Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so there's a motion to change the order of business so we come back to petitions from the floor after we take on the appointments. It's been motions made and seconded. Madam Clerk, do you want to call the roll, please?
Yes, Councilor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Lindell,
Yes.
Councilor Rivera,
Yes.
Councilor Merworth,
Yes.
Councilwoman, oh, she actually is excused. I apologize for that.
Correct.
Yes. Councilor Cassett,
Yes.
Councilor Chavez,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes.
Motion has been approved.
Very good. So we have some appointments to work our way through and 23 minutes till 7. So let's work our way through this and then we'll get to the 7 o'clock petitions from the floor as we get to that item next. So Madam Clerk, do you want to take us to 20A?
Yes, item 20A is appointments for our Airport Advisory Board. And we are appointing 4 members. Gabriel Martinez, his appointment will be through February of 2024. Troy Padilla with an appointment term ending in February of 2025. Giles DeHaven with a term ending in February of 2025. And Rosemary Thompson. She has a reappointment with her term expiring in February of 2025, Mayor.
Let's get a motion, and then Councilor Rivera, I'll refer to you if you want to make any comments about the Airport Advisory Board and the work that you're doing there, but I'd entertain a motion first.
Move to approve.
Is there? We have a motion and a second. Councilor Rivera, this is your group, which you've been shepherding along. One significant reappointment, some new folks, and at a very timely and important moment in the airport.
Yeah, it's been, some of the members that left had been serving for a long time. They did a great job and just decided it was time to do something different. So we received, I think it was 8 or 9 resumes of people that wanted to sit on the committee. And these are the 3 that were selected. And they have a lot of knowledge about the airport, and I think will make great additions to the team, along with Rosemary Thompson, who's been on the committee for a while, but loves what she's doing. She was there yesterday and wants to continue and see it through. So thank you for that, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions about the appointments? I would add to what the counselor said about Rosemary Thompson. She is so proud of the airport. I think her mom was the general manager at one point. And so there's a legacy of commitment to the airport in that family. And she herself is a devoted airport manager person. So we've got both, she's got a link to it from geography, but also from genealogy. Councilor Lee Garcia, your hand is up, sir. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to just say that these applicants here for the advisory board are all very well qualified, and I think will make really great additions to this board. And so a couple of the guys I know personally, Gabriel Martinez and Troy Padilla, which a lot of us do, but I think all of them are going to be great additions, and it's going to be a good group of people working on this. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, it's a good group, and it's also an important time for the airport right now. Any other comments? If not, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll on the motion?
You got it. Councilor Michael Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Lindell.
Yes.
Councilor Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Marworth.
Yes.
Councilor Cassett.
Yes.
Councilor Chavez.
Yes.
Councilor Lee Garcia.
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes.
Motion has been approved.
Could you take us to item B then, please?
Yes, item B is for appointments to the Economic Development Advisory Committee. There are 4 members being appointed. We have Kenneth Resnick. He is serving on a term expiring in June of 2023. David Fresquez is an appointment with a term expiring in June of 2023. Kim Schniffenbauer, and I apologize if I messed that one up, with the term expiring in June of 2023, and Brooke Hunter with a term ending in June of 2023 as well.
Can I get a motion, and then I will turn to Councilor Cassett for any comments she'd like to make.
Move to approve.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Counselor Cassett, this is your committee, and I know you're devoted to its work in diversifying and strengthening our economy. For new members to add to your team, please give us any context you'd like to offer.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I am really excited to add these members to the team and hear their opinions on a lot of things that we're exploring. We are doing a little bit of, I wouldn't quite say a retool of EDAC, but a little bit of focusing on how we can do a deep dive into some topics about how to really create a vibrant city and maintain a vibrant city. And so I believe that these individuals will have a lot of information and expertise that they can provide to that. And I look forward to really bringing forward some of these conversations and presentations to probably the Quality of Life Committee as we move forward. So some really exciting things happening. Very excited to be getting a full roster to make sure we got that quorum going. So welcome to these new members. I very much look forward to working with you.
Thanks, Counselor. I would second what you just said. And again, coming through COVID with all the impacts we've had on our mom and pop businesses, our tourism industry, our visitors, our kids looking for jobs, looking to grow their own economic opportunities. This is a very, very important time for the Economic Development Advisory Committee to spread its wings and fly. I know these individuals. You've got a great variety of talent and experience on this committee already. This augments that group. And I know you're going to really dig deep into that issue of the factors that help an economy stay strong and vibrant. And the idea of a report sounds fantastic. Whenever you're ready. Any other reflections, comments? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll on these nominations, please?
Yes. Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Romero Ward,
Yes. For the second time.
oh, I didn't, sorry, there might have been a mute. Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes,
Motion has been approved.
thank you. Could you go to item C then, please?
Yes, item C is our Human Service Committee, and we have 3 appointments. We have Tress Hunter Schnell with a reappointment and a term expiring in March of 2024. We have Michael N. Pepper with a reappointment term expiring in March of 2023, and Douglas Sane with a reappointment and a term expiring in March of 2023.
Can I get a motion, please?
Move to approve.
Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, counselors. Any comments on these outstanding individuals? These are folks who have been serving the city very, very well and have generously offered to continue that service. And here again, I think it's a theme tonight. We are coming through a time where families and young people have been under a lot of pressure and stress to adapt to circumstances beyond their control frequently. We are very grateful to these folks for stepping up and offering their service to the city. Any other comments before we take a vote? Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Romero Ward,
Yes.
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes,
Motion has been approved.
thank you. And we have item D under the same appointment category, please.
Correct. Item D is for the Planning Commission appointments. We have 3 appointments. Tonight we have Zulema Nos Fall with an appointment. She's, filling an unexpired term, which will expire in June of 2023. Jay Toya is an appointment with, again, filling an unexpired term, expiring in June of 2022. And then we have Peter Smith, who is an appointment filling an unexpired term in June of 2023.
Can I get a motion, and then I'll call on you, Madam Councillor Cassidy, or do you want to talk before the motion?
I'll make a motion as well. Move to approve.
There's a motion.
Second.
And there's a second. And Councillor Cassidy, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. As most people know, that the planning commissioners actually fulfilled district appointments, and I was hoping to get information about which district each of these individuals is representing.
You anticipated my next item. Zulima is in District 4. Peter is in District 2, and Jay is in District 3.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. That was
Yeah,
all.
and I apologize, we didn't have that in parentheses on the agenda. Sorry about that. I will say that as Councilor Rivera said about the Airport Advisory Board, we had a outpouring of people volunteering their time and energy and service to the city on the Planning Commission, a remarkable group of talented people, all of whom recognize, as I think everybody on the governing body recognizes, we are at a deeply significant inflection point for the city as we balance our need for graceful growth with sustainability and doing nothing to sacrifice the quality of life and the deep roots of our city. And the Planning Commission is the citizen body that takes that up at all of their meetings. And we ask them to use the planning code, but also their own lived experience to make sure that they are listening to the voices in our community and offering their best advice on how we grow gracefully without sacrificing the city's quality of life and overall well-being. This is a tough job. And these are individuals with great resumes, great love for the community, a great deal of knowledge already, but also a great deal of recognition of the weight of the Planning Commission and its deep responsibility to everybody in the city. And so for these three individuals to step up and offer their time and energy, I'm very grateful. They are very good community representatives. They get it. And I'm very grateful that they're willing to put in the time and the work to help us guide the city to a future of affordable housing and enhanced livability. I've said over and over again, the future of Santa Fe runs through the land use department. It runs through the Planning Commission. So I'm grateful to these folks and to the people who are already on the Planning Commission for all they do. It's a hard job. Any other questions or comments about the appointments? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Yes. Councilor Merriworth.
Yes.
Councilor Cassett.
Yes.
Councilor Chavez.
Yes.
Councilor Lee Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Michael Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Lingell.
Yes.
Councilor Rivera.
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes,
Motion has been approved.
thank you. And item E, which after you introduce it, I'll explain how I goofed up, but take it from there. You kick it off.
Okay, I was gonna actually explain it. I'll let you. So item E is the New Mexico Department of Workforce Solutions. The committee is the Northern Area Local Workforce Development Board. And we do have Councilor Lee Garcia as the appointment for that position.
Can I get a motion, please?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. And Councilor Lee Garcia, thank you for having the great grace to accept this. I goofed up. We should have done this originally when we were doing the new appointments to all of the different tasks that counselors undertake on behalf of our community. This one slipped through my fingers, and so we're doing it a little belatedly. It's not designed to unduly highlight this. It's simply making up for an error on my part, and you've been so gracious about it. And I just can't thank you enough for your generosity of spirit, sir. So thank you for your service, but also for recognizing that when I goof up, you're kind about taking it on. So thank you for that. Thank you, sir. Councillor Lee Garcia, do you want to have the floor? And then your Councillor Mike Garcia has his hand up as well.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I was on there was on my radar because I thought that it was one of the from the get-go, one of the committees I was appointed to, but now to see it on this agenda was surprising. Looking forward to seeing the work that we can do to get this workforce going in this city. So thanks again.
Well, I do think it's in your wheelhouse, so it fits your own interests and your skill set perfectly, and it should have been handled at its time of everything else, and it just was a slight slip up. Councillor Michael Garcia, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I guess just a quick request for clarification for the public in regards to what this board is, what our role is, what is Lee going to be doing for the city of Santa Fe?
Sure. I don't know whether the city clerk wants to speak to that, or you'd like me to take it on, Madam Clerk.
Mayor, if you would like to, or else, I don't know if Councillor Carol Romero Worth, she most recently sat on the committee as well. She might, or on the board, I'm sorry.
I'd be happy to.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Councillor. You can help add context.
This is a position that helps allocate federal money to do economic development in our region of the state. So there are a number of these boards. They are regional. There are various layers, and it was created, I believe, by the federal grant that is awarded, and this is a way of getting local input and getting it into local communities in a way that's strategic and meaningful.
And I've attended, they do not only have the board, but they have an extended effort to call meetings together with academic institutions, other organizations, where we can look to create a pipeline for employment and work opportunities, whether in the building trades or healthcare, you name it. It's really designed to advocate for and build capacity of the employment base in northern New Mexico. And so Councillor Lee Garcia will be our advocate in that organization, and plugging back into economic development, community services, anything we can do to get our folks ready to go to work. There are jobs. Sometimes it takes training. There's programs to advance that. Sometimes it takes education. That's where the community college and others play a role. And so it really is, again, a significant moment we're in, where we're trying to get people into the workforce. This is a tool to help make that happen. I really do appreciate the question, Councillor Garcia. Often we make these appointments, we don't talk about what the work is. So spelling it out is really helpful. Thank you for the question. Any other comments or questions? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Yes. Councillor Cassett.
Yes.
Councillor Chavez.
Yes.
Councillor Lee Garcia.
Yes.
Councillor Michael Garcia.
Yes.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Merrill-Worth,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes,
Motion has been approved.
thank you. And again, Councillor Lee Garcia, thank you for your graciousness. I'm grateful to you, sir. Madam Clerk, I think it's close enough to 7 o'clock. We can cycle back to the item that we temporarily postponed, petitions from the floor.
Yes, we can. Mayor, I also want to note anyone who would like to speak, of course, please raise your hand. And also, if you would like to join us with your video on, please let me know and I will send the request to start your video. So, Miss Stephanie Beninato. I see your hand up. Stephanie, would you like to join us with video?
No, I don't think so, because I'm totally unprepared. I have no idea what I actually look like at this moment in time.
No worries.
Having been outside working in the wind a short while ago. I just want to also say, if you could just give me, not put this on my time, but it was very difficult to get into this meeting. The first webinar ID was invalid. If I clicked on Zoom, finally there was a new ID that came up. I clicked on Zoom, it was still invalid, but if I copied it into the browser, then it only asked for the passcode and the passcode was valid. So it took me several attempts trying to be creative about how to get around it to actually get to this meeting on Zoom. I just want to let you know that. I just want to say at some point that I hope that we do start honoring and recognizing peacekeepers as much as we honor and recognize military veterans. And the other thing I really want to bring to your attention is what I think is a problem with transparency and accountability at a board meeting. That is the Historic Design Review Board, where the chair, even though she was around the corner neighbor of some of the current owners of a house and had known them when they were children and they reminisced and everything, she did not think that was a conflict of interest or even an appearance of conflict of interest. And neither the city attorney nor the other two attorneys on the board advised her that, you know, when they have conflicts of interest, just as you have, Mayor and Councilor Garcia, you step out at the very beginning of the discussion. Her comment when I brought this up was that she wouldn't have voted, but her back and forth with the applicants was very, I think, influential in guiding kind of what the outcome. And even if it wasn't, there was definitely a very strong appearance of conflict of interest or favoritism. And I think it would have been so much better had she just stepped out of the meeting right away. Because if she wasn't going to vote when there was a tie, then there really was no reason for her to be there participating. And I just want to bring that to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, are there others in the attendee room who wish to take advantage of the opportunity for a 2-minute statement of petitions from the floor?
Yes, Miguel is also in the waiting room. Miguel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Cool. And Miguel, do you want to join us with your video on?
No, the audio is fine.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and councilors. First of all, I'd like to extend a big thank you from my neighbors and me to Councilors Cassett and Chavez, as well as Director Melissa McDonald and Parks employee Skyler Nielsen for meeting with the residents of the Herb Martinez Park neighborhood last week. It started out as a snowy day, but turned out to be a perfect evening for our gathering at the park. Concerns were brought forward and immediate action was taken on a couple of items, as was discussed earlier by Councilor Cassett, as well as Councilor Chavez. And we look forward to future efforts at the park, Herb Martinez Park, as well as the Resolana Park across the Arroyo. I also want to thank Park Ranger Jason Sharp, as well as park staff Brandon and Jesse, who are at our Martinez Park and spent some time talking to me about parking issues and other things, as well as the scheduled park cleanup this Saturday. That was very good to see them out there and good to meet people in person. So on that note, having spoken with Park Ranger Sharp, Jason, that is, I'm hopeful that the mayor and the council will move forward in supporting the city's effort to establish full-time equivalent positions, as well as funding for additional park rangers. Those positions seem to be more vital than any other suits and ties positions that we might be filling at the city, so that we could have community involvement, community efforts, or the city effort to make the community a safer and more attractive place to be. Because it's like a park is where we spend most of our time as children and taking our families. Secondly, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's meeting regarding the Arroyo Chamizo crossing project. I'm glad to see that it has still stayed on the city's radar through all this these pandemic delays over the past 2 years. And lastly, I send my condolences also to everybody on the governing council, governing body, for those who have suffered losses. And I definitely extend to Councilor Rivera, who's I've grown up with, as well as his wife's family. We all grew up in the old part of Santa Fe in the same neighborhood, went to the same elementary school, were members of the same church. And so that is a big loss on Mrs. Rivera's passing. And wish you all Godspeed and send our condolences to Councilor Rivera, as well as all of you who have suffered losses. So thank you for your time and wish you all a good evening and a successful meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, do we have others in the waiting room?
We do not. Those were the two.
All right, then. With that, we have completed the agenda. Thank you, everybody, for your work tonight. And again, it's been a hard 2 years and a few weeks, but if you can make it to the mental health gathering tomorrow at the convention center, please do. I'll see you over there. It's a part of how we come together. Thank you, everybody. Meeting is adjourned.